Okay, so let me pick it back up. So replace distributor, and now we need to get our timing set. It's a little bit lazy. Has a cough on it. So I want to find a spring that's going to make our throttle adjustment good. I gotta do some more clearancing right here for our TV cable for our 200R4. I'm going to see if one of these will line up, and I'll put some spray adhesive. I think I'm just going to take all this off as far as the fan, the shroud, and a couple of our pulleys to actually put this on the harmonic balancer. Hopefully one of these lines up. If not, then I'll just use a paint marker. And that would be a good day on this. If we set timing and get that going, we're going to unhook our vacuum advance. Actually, I'm going to do it right now because I think that's going to be problematic for this car. Just got to get me a vacuum cap, but I don't know what it's doing for vacuum advance, how much vacuum it's actually pulling. So we'll go ahead and put our cap back on it. And just little stuff like that. I mean, we're getting to a good point on this car, at least where it's mobile. It just needs to be able to destroy the tires. So, all right. So that's a little, get y'all caught up on everything. Sorry for the mumbling. This ain't really a how-to video as much as it is just a vlog and just what we're doing with this Oldsmobile Cutlass 403. Okay, let me get y'all caught up to where I'm at. So I needed to go ahead and take all the pulleys and the belts off so I can get our lower crank pulley off. It wasn't too bad. It was like a 10 millimeter. I got the shroud off, and then some bolts that connect to the shroud. Then our fan was either half or 13. I'll tell you the worst thing about working on this car is it's a combination of standard and metric. This is an 81 Cutlass, but the engine's from the 70s. So, the engine is actually like a 78, 79. The heads are like from the early 70s. So anyways, these bolts are like 15 millimeters. I used a 1/2 inch over here. I used another 15 millimeter here. I know you can't use a 5/8. And then a 1/2 inch was pretty loose on our crank bolt. Wound up having to use, 13 millimeter was loose, used a 1/2 inch. And don't get me wrong, I know how to identify bolts. But it's like, it's just a combination. I just grab one and just see if it fits well. Like, I can't tell without cleaning these bolts what they are. But anyways, so we got our 1 1/8. That way we can turn our engine over to actually get it on the tab on 0 here. I'm gonna go ahead and clean this off too. And then hopefully one of these lines up. If it don't, I'm gonna do what Uncle Tony recommended with a micrometer or some fashion of that, and actually just mark it with a paint marker. But I'm hoping one of these will work, just good enough for today. And I'm gonna try like some spray adhesive on the harmonic balancer, and maybe I can get it to last longer than what's advertised. Probably not, but we'll see. But that's where we're at, and see if we can't get this lined up and get some tape on it. Okay, so got some acetone here on a rag, cleaned off our harmonic balancer. I do see what Uncle Tony was talking about though with go ahead and mark it, because I don't want to do this all over again and then the tape flies off. So we'll see how I'm going to do about that. But what I did is I put my dial caliper on 0 and 10 right here, something like that. Anyways, and I locked it down, our knob here, and I went to each one of these, and this one I believe is our one that is pretty doggone close. Like, pretty happy with that. Let's see. So this one, maybe this one. Nope, a little too short. So, not too short, so I think it is this one. Yep, this one. So this one lines up. So I'm going to try some spray adhesive on our harmonic balancer and tape this on the best I can. And probably go ahead and put like some marks on the side here, if it and that way I don't lose too much if it flies off. And go from there. Okay, I had a disaster. Wound up I broke a bolt putting a Monnet balancer back in. We had to get our maybe outs and get that out. We found a replacement bolt. We got everything put back together. I can show you where we got lucky with our maybe out. But so we got it out, and we're gonna put Humpty Dumpty back together and hopefully see if we can't make this thing a little peppier and do some timing light troubleshooting, I guess, see which one's the most accurate. Go. Now we got our tape here aligned, and I got a silver mark on 36 just to highlight it for us. Just took around a block, pretty happy. The transmission's the limiting factor right now. It wants to shift in a second pretty early. But we got our timing set to 38 degrees. That seems to work out pretty well. It cranks fine, so pretty happy with that. We did break an alternator belt in the process of that, so I got to see, I think I got a belt pile somewhere. I just have to find it. See if we can get an alternator belt for it, and then we're gonna put the air filter on it. My next project is to fix this steering wheel. I don't know what happened. This was perfectly fine until I went to go put the ignition switch in, and then I was waiting on a bolt, and then something came loose. So I got to dig into there. I think for now, the engine's good. The only thing I don't like is our oil pressure dropped 10 PSI with our oil change. I had to get a different style filter, and I'm wondering if that filter's doing something wrong. So we're gonna get the right filter. How about that? Also, one of the things I found was this wheel was about to fall off. I walked in my backyard and I seen a lug nut missing. And so, as you can see how I replaced this one, but one of them was on the ground, I'm sorry. And I said, what the heck? So then I got a torque wrench, and these were loose. Hit with impact at first, did what I felt comfortable with the big Milwaukee, and then I came back with a torque wrench, and it was only still probably like 50 foot-pounds. These washers, I guess, just really threw me off on how to torque it with the impact, but that's just one of those things. You always should use a torque wrench. So they're set at 100 foot-pounds all the way across. We had a big oil leak. Wound up being the oil filter housing. Took it off, cleaned it. I think there was some paint from when this thing was rattle can gold that wasn't masked off correctly. We Scotch-Brighted it, got it clean. And that's kind of the latest and greatest on this thing. I guess I'll show you what it does. I don't know if it's true, but I give it one pump. Supposed to help put some of that cold fuel into that intake. And then here's the problem. You'll see the oil pressure. See? And it comes up fine. But at idle, it's pretty bad. And then look in gear. Oh, that's neutral. So that's like 5 PSI. Maybe 6. I mean, it ain't rattling, but it should be doing better than that. And I mean, look, and we went pretty much from having like 15 PSI at idle, and I put 20 W50 in it to now lower. So the only thing that makes sense to me is going to be that fuel filter. Like I said, something's different. And I wanted a 307 filter. He didn't have one in stock, and he gave me something that had all the right specs that looked the same. It would thread up, and it was a little bit shorter, but something ain't right. I'm going to blame it on the filter before I blame it on a bearing failure. I was setting timing at 35 degrees. Noticed the smoke from the oil filter dripping, but it didn't run low. I checked it before I changed it. It still had fluid in it, so I don't know. And it was at the full mark. So, all right, let me get into this rattly thing. Okay, so I think I got an oil pressure issue. So we're going to move the car, and while we're moving it, see what is going on. So see how she cranks too. So I'm gonna pump it 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at our oil pressure. right, so as you can see, it's at 40 pounds, but it usually does okay on the when it's cold. But I'm gonna my thought is my oil filter is the issue. I got one that the what's his name, the retail guy at Summit suggested me to get. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is get one that instead of cross-referencing stuff like the he cross-referenced description and stuff. I actually bought one for Oldsmobile 307, which are all the same, and we're gonna go ahead and put that filter on and see if it helps our oil pressure. Right now it's good, but when we get a little more warmed up temperatures, the issue. All right, so this is the filter we got. It's an HP 2002, I believe. Yeah, oh sorry, 2006. It's what cross references for a Oldsmobile 307. I do like the K&Ns because of the socket on the back. And yeah, let me see if I can't get this thing loose by hand. And hopefully this helps our oil pressure. Okay, this is the filter we took off, which is what they cross reference to. I have no idea what it fits. But it's 51522. And all he did was look to see if it was the right thread pitch and looked at the height and I think the diameter. And I mean, it looks kind of the same, other than it. This one had an anti-drain back valve, so it couldn't go back if it was sideways. And that might be the oil pressure drop, is that having that valve as a restriction. But this one sits down. I'll show y'all. You can see it's from right here. You can see the oil filter housing there. Let me get y'all in there. But see, it sits down like that. And actually, you can tell how clean the housing is because I cleaned it yesterday. But yeah, it takes a 25 millimeter. Actually, I will use only K&N for this car now, because that thing is absolute pain to get off because of the headers that are on it. So anyways, let's crank it up and see if it helped our oil pressure. And now thinking about it, I bet it did because of that anti-drain back valve. You know what, let's go ahead and check the oil. We're at it. I'll cut you off here. Let me check that and then we'll go from there. All right, so pull this out. I've already cleaned it once. We're on the hill or on the ramp, so you can see we're like 2 quarts over full. So we know we have plenty of that 20W50 by Lucas in here with all the zinc, is what it says. So put this back and see what happens. About guaranteed, because of that valve, it's gonna be a lot better. What do you think? 2 pumps, 1, 2. Oil filter is empty, so it's going to pump it up too. Come on. There we go. See, that's I don't know. We'll have to see, let it get hot, but we'll let it get hot and then we'll go from there. All right, we've been on high idle for a minute. I'm looking for a belt. I don't see any. See, we're at 40 psi on high idle. And we're at 10. That's actually better than yesterday by a little bit. We're at 6 psi. And I still got a broken alternator belt. I might have already mentioned that. So I think it's a little bit better. I just thought it would have been better. So I think it's the anti-drain back valve was blocking a little bit. Like, I just wish it was a little bit better. Alrighty, well, that was a good run.